The sun was just beginning to rise over the quiet neighborhood when Mia Carter stepped out of her small apartment. The morning air was cool and fresh, and the streets were still mostly empty. She had always loved this time of day, the calm before. The noise, the peaceful silence broken only by birds chirping and the occasional car rolling by. Mia wasn't a rich woman. She worked part-time at a local vet clinic and spent most of her free time helping stray animals whenever she could. She had a soft heart for creatures that had been forgotten or left behind. Her own little rescue cat, Max, stayed curled up on the couch most days, watching her go in and out like a loyal shadow. That morning, as she walked down the sidewalk with a coffee in one hand and a bag of leftover chicken in the other, something caught her eye near the back of a convenience store. At first she thought it was just a pile of old clothes tossed beside the dumpster, but then it moved. Mia stopped walking. She squinted, trying to make out what it was. As she got closer, she realized it was a dog. No, not just any dog. A large German shepherd, tall and muscular but clearly weak and tired. His fur was matted, his ribs slightly visible under his coat, and his eyes, those eyes looked straight into hers. He didn't growl or bark. He just watched her, still, alert, like he was waiting to see what kind of person she was. Mia's heart sank. This wasn't just a lost pet. Something about him felt different. Around his chest and sides were faded marks, almost like scars from gear or harnesses. There was even a torn piece of fabric hanging from his back, a remnant of what might have once been a tactical vest. She slowly took a few steps back, not wanting to scare him. The dog didn't run. He simply lowered his head a bit, sniffing the air. Mia noticed how carefully he moved, how aware he was of every sound and movement around. Then, thinking fast, she opened the bag she was carrying. Inside were pieces of cooked chicken from dinner the night before. She crouched low, holding out a piece of meat in her open palm. "It's okay," she whispered softly, though she wasn't sure if he understood the words or just the tone. "Likauweim." German Shepherd hesitated. Then slowly he took a few cautious steps forward. Each pawfall was deliberate. When he reached her, he sniffed the food, then gently took it from her hand. No bite, no rush, just careful trust. Mia smiled, heart swelling. "Good boy," she said quietly. After eating the first piece, the dog sat down beside her. Not too close, but close enough that she could feel the warmth radiating from his body. She offered more chicken, and again he accepted it without hesitation. They sat there together for several minutes, the city slowly waking up around them. People began stepping out of their homes, cars rolled past, and the world kept turning, but for those few moments it felt like just the two of them existed. As the sun climbed higher, Mia knew she couldn't just leave him there. She wanted to help. But she also knew better than to try to take him home right away. He wasn't like the usual strays she found wandering around town. He was trained, disciplined, and possibly someone's missing partner. Still, she needed to know more. "I'll be back," she promised, gently patting the ground next to her. "Wait here, okay?" The shepherd tilted his head slightly, as if understanding her words. Mia hurried back to her apartment and returned a few minutes later with a small bowl, some bottled water, and a leash she used for emergencies. When she got back to where she had left the dog, however, he was gone. Her heart dropped. She scanned the area, calling out softly, "Hey, buddy, are you here?" Nothing. Just the hum of the early morning traffic and the rustle of wind through loose paper on the sidewalk. For a moment, she felt defeated. Maybe he wasn't ready. Maybe he didn't want help. Or maybe he had somewhere else to go. But deep inside, she couldn't shake the feeling that she hadn't seen the last of him. Over the next few hours, Mia continued to search nearby streets. She asked people if they'd seen a large German shepherd, but no one had. Eventually, she had to return to work, promising herself she would come back later to look again. At the clinic, she couldn't stop thinking about him. Was he hurt? Had he been abandoned? Or worse, was someone out there looking for him? When she finally got off work that evening, She made her way back to the same spot. Again, nothing. She sighed, disappointed, and turned to walk away. Then she heard it, a faint sound, like a footstep on dry leaves. She turned quickly. There, standing at the edge of the alleyway, was the German Shepherd, watching her, waiting. Mia's breath caught in her throat. He had come back, not because he was hungry, not because he had nowhere else to go, but because he remembered her. And somehow he trusted her. She slowly knelt down again, reaching into her bag. She pulled out another piece of chicken and held it out. He approached cautiously, then sat beside her once more. This time she didn't rush. She let him stay as long as he wanted. She talked to him softly, letting him get used to her voice, her presence. Night began to fall, and the streetlights flickered on above them. In the dim glow, Mia felt something stir inside her, a sense of connection, of purpose. She didn't know who he was, or where he came from, but she knew one thing. She couldn't just walk away now, because this dog, this brave, noble animal, had chosen to come back to her, and whatever journey he was on, she was going to follow it with him. The night air was cool as Mia sat on the curb beside the German Shepherd, gently offering him pieces of chicken. He ate slowly, like he wasn't sure if this kindness was real or just another dream in a long line of lonely days. His eyes, though, tired, were alert, always watching, always listening. Mia didn't rush him. She let him take his time, speaking to him in a calm voice, letting her presence be a comfort rather than a threat. The city buzzed quietly around them, but for now, there was only the two of them under the soft glow of the streetlights. Eventually, the dog finished eating. He looked at her one last time before turning and walking away down a side street, disappearing into the shadows. Mia watched until she couldn't see him anymore. She stood up, brushing dust off her jeans, heart full of questions. Who was he? Where had he come from? And why had he come back to her? The next morning, Mia woke up with the same thoughts swirling in her mind. She got dressed quickly, grabbed some food and water for the dog, and headed straight back to the alley, where they had met. But when she arrived, the street was empty. No sign of the German Shepherd. She waited for over an hour, hoping he would show up again. But he didn't. Disappointed, she decided to start asking around. Maybe someone had seen him before or knew who he belonged to. She walked up and down the neighborhood, showing people a quick sketch she had drawn based on memory. Most people just shook their heads. Some said they had seen a big shepherd once or twice near the train tracks, but no one claimed to know him. Frustrated, but not ready to give up, Mia stopped by the local vet clinic where she worked. Her boss, Dr. Ellis, listened carefully as Mia described the dog. A German Shepherd with scars and old gear marks? Dr. Ellis asked thoughtfully. Could be a retired canine officer or military dog. That possibility had already crossed Mia's mind, but hearing it spoken aloud made it feel more real. If that was true, then somewhere out there someone might still be looking for him. Determined, Mia went online and started searching for missing canine dogs in the area. She found several old news stories about police dogs who had gone missing after being injured during duty. One article caught her eye, a story from nearly 6 months ago about a canine partner named Rex, who had disappeared during a high-risk operation. The photo matched what Mia had seen. Her heart pounded as she read the details. Rex had been part of a special unit working alongside Officer Javier Morales. During a raid, things had gone wrong. Shots were fired, and in the chaos, Rex had vanished. Despite searches and calls, he was never found. Mia stared at the screen, feeling a lump form in her throat. Could this really be Rex? If so, then he had survived something terrible and had somehow ended up here, alone, lost, and trying to find his way home. For the next few days, Mia continued her search. She posted pictures and descriptions of the dog on community boards, social media pages, and even reached out to local shelters and rescue groups. Still, no one came forward with answers. Then, one evening, while walking through a quiet park nearby, Mia heard a familiar sound behind her, a soft paw step, a slight rustle in the grass. She turned around slowly. There he was. Rex stood a few feet away, watching her with those deep, intelligent eyes. He hadn't shaved off the weight of his journey, nor the pain hidden beneath his fur, but he was here. Again. You came back, Mia whispered, kneeling down. He took a few steps closer and sat beside her, just like before. This time, Mia brought out a small towel and gently wiped some of the dirt from his coat. As she did, she noticed something tucked beneath his fur near his neck, a small worn patch of fabric. Carefully, she pulled it free. It was a piece of his old vest, faded and torn, but still readable, K9 Rex, partnered with Officer J. Morales. Mia felt tears prick her eyes. So it was true. This brave dog had once served beside a hero and had somehow survived the worst moments of his life. I'm going to help you, she promised, rubbing his head softly. I don't know how yet, but I will. Over the next few days, Mia kept reaching out, sharing Rex's story with anyone who would listen. Finally, a message came through from someone claiming to be related to Officer Morales. Her hands trembled as she clicked on the message. Hi, my name is Elena Morales. I believe the dog you saw might be my brother's K9 partner, Rex. My brother passed away in the line of duty, and we've been mourning the loss of both him and Rex ever since. If you really saw him, please tell me where. Mia couldn't breathe for a moment. She quickly replied, giving Elena all the details and telling her where Rex had been seen. The next day, Elena called Mia directly. Her voice was shaky with emotion. We never gave up hope, she said. We thought he was gone forever. If it really is him, this could bring us peace. Mia agreed to keep an eye on Rex and try to build more trust with him. She started, bringing him better food, a soft blanket, and even a toy or two. Slowly, he began to respond, not with excitement, but with quiet gratitude. One afternoon, as Mia sat beside him in the park, she placed a gentle hand on his back and whispered, You're not alone anymore, boy. You're not alone. Rex leaned into her touch, resting his head on her leg. It was the first time he had shown any kind of affection since they met, and in that moment, Mia knew, whatever happened next, she wouldn't walk away, because this wasn't just about finding a lost dog. It was about healing, about memories, about loyalty that lasted beyond tragedy, and about a bond that refused to break. Mia had gotten into a quiet rhythm with Rex. Every morning she would wake up early, pack some food, water, and sometimes a small blanket, and head out to find him. Most days, he was waiting near the same alley or nearby park where they had first met. Other times he'd appear out of nowhere like he had been watching her all along. At first he still kept his distance. He wouldn't let her touch him for long, and he never followed her home. But slowly, things began to change. He started, staying longer when she sat beside him. He would lean into her hand when she reached out. Sometimes, if she spoke softly enough, he would close his eyes like he was finally resting after a very long journey. One morning, Mia brought something new, a soft dog bed she had bought from a second-hand store. She placed it gently on the ground next to him and stepped back. Rex looked at it for a long time before lying down on it. It was the first time he had used anything that wasn't just food or water. Mia smiled, feeling a warm glow inside. She knew he trusted her more now. But she also knew he wasn't ready to leave this life behind. Not yet. One evening, as the sun dipped below the rooftops and painted the sky in orange and pink, Mia sat with Rex under a tree in the park. She talked to him like he could understand every word. Maybe he did. I wish I knew what you went through, she said quietly, brushing her fingers along his back. I wish I could take away whatever pain you're carrying. Rex didn't respond. He never did. But he stayed by her side, calm and steady. Then, something unexpected happened. From across the park, a loud noise cracked through the air. Someone had dropped a metal bucket. The sound startled Mia, But Rex reacted instantly. His body tensed, his ears shot up, and his eyes darted toward the source of the noise. For a brief moment he looked like a soldier again, alert, defensive, ready to act. But then, just as quickly, he relaxed. He turned to Mia and gave her a look that almost seemed apologetic. "You're okay," she whispered, rubbing his neck gently. "You're safe now." He let out a deep sigh and rested his head on her lap. That night, Mia couldn't stop thinking about how deeply trauma must have shaped him. He had lived through something terrible, something that left scars not just on his body, but in his mind. And yet here he was, trying so hard to move forward. She made a promise to herself. She would help him heal no matter how long it took. Over the next few weeks, Mia continued visiting Rex every day. She learned his habits, his likes, and even his moods. She noticed he liked certain kinds of treats, disliked sudden movements, and always preferred sitting under trees rather than in open spaces. She also began training him a little. Nothing too serious, just simple commands like sit, stay, and come. At first he ignored most of them, but one day when Mia said, "Sit," without thinking, Rex obeyed immediately. She froze. That was the first time he responded to something he clearly remembered from his past. Tears welled up in her eyes. "Good boy," she said, voice trembling. It was a small step, but it meant everything. Meanwhile, Mia kept in touch with Elena Morales, the sister of Officer Javier Morales, Rex's former handler. They talked often, sharing updates and memories. Elena told Mia stories about how brave Rex had been during his service, how loyal he was to her brother, and how much his loss had hurt their family. "He wasn't just a dog," Elena once said over the phone. "He was part of our family." Losing him felt like losing Javier all over again. Mia listened carefully, promising to keep her updated. Still, she knew there was something missing. Rex hadn't fully accepted her as his new person. He came to her, yes, but he never truly stayed. He always disappeared at night, and she never knew where he went, until one rainy afternoon. The sky had opened up, and thick drops of rain were falling fast. Mia had brought an umbrella and was walking toward their usual meeting spot when she saw him standing under a bus shelter, soaked and shivering. "Hey, buddy," she called softly, hurrying over. Rex looked at her, eyes tired but not scared. She pulled off her jacket and wrapped it around him as best as she could. Then she offered him some dry food from a bag she carried. He ate slowly, looking grateful. As the rain poured around them, Mia sat beside him, leaning against the wall. She didn't say much, she just stayed, and for the first time Rex didn't walk away. Night fell and the streets grew quiet. Mia stayed with him until her phone buzzed in her pocket. It was a message from Elena. "Mia, thank you for everything you've done. If you ever feel like he's ready, maybe we can meet. I'd love to see him one last time." Mia read the message again, heart swelling. She looked at Rex, who was now curled up beside her, finally sleeping peacefully. "Yes," she whispered, "maybe soon." The next morning, Mia woke up with a plan. She wanted to do something special, for Rex, for Elena, and for everyone who had loved him. She decided to host a small community event at the park, inviting people who loved animals, veterans, and anyone interested in canine rescue work. She put up flyers, posted on social media, and even reached out to a local news station. To her surprise, many people responded. Some were curious. Others were touched by Rex's story and wanted to help. On the day of the event, Mia arrived early, bringing a table, chairs, posters, and even a few handmade signs about canine heroes. She hoped Rex would show up, but she didn't want to force it. Then, just as she was setting up, she heard familiar footsteps behind her. She turned. There he was. Rex stood at the edge of the park, watching everything unfold. He didn't rush toward her like a regular pet would. He simply walked over and sat beside her as if he understood what she was doing. People began arriving. Some brought toys and treats for Rex. Others asked questions about his past, A few older, men approached with tears in their eyes, saying they had served alongside dogs like him. One man knelt beside Rex and gently placed a hand on his head. "You've seen things no one should have to see," he said softly, "but you made it. You survived." Rex closed his eyes, letting the man's touch comfort him. Mia watched the whole scene, heart full. This was more than just an event. This was healing. For Rex, for the people who remembered those who served, and for her. As the day went on, Mia realized something important. Rex wasn't just coming back to her because he needed food or shelter. He was coming back because he had found someone who understood, someone who wouldn't give up on him, someone who believed in second chances, and, though he still carried the weight of his past, he was beginning to believe in a future again. A future that included Mia. A future filled with hope. A future where he didn't have to be alone anymore. Mia had been spending more time with Rex than ever before. Each day brought new signs that he was beginning to heal, not just physically, but emotionally too. He no longer flinched at sudden sounds the way he used to. He would sit beside her, for longer periods, even leaning his head on her lap when he felt tired. And most importantly, he started coming to her house without being called. One morning, as Mia stepped outside with a warm bowl of food, she found him already waiting by the front gate. His coat looked cleaner now, thanks to the baths she gave him, and his eyes were brighter. She smiled and opened the gate slowly, letting him walk in on his own. He sniffed around the yard for a bit, then settled down near the porch steps like he belonged there. "You're getting brave," Mia whispered, scratching behind his ears. Rex let out a soft sigh and closed his eyes. It was clear. He was starting to feel safe. Later that week, Mia received another message from Elena Morales. The conversation between them had grown deeper over time, filled with shared memories and hopes for Rex's future. "I've been thinking, I know it might be hard for him, but I'd really love to meet him in person. If you think he's ready, maybe we could arrange something." Mia read the message again, heart swelling. She knew this meeting would mean so much, not just to Elena, but to Rex too. Even though Javier was gone, the bond they once shared had never truly broken. Rex still carried pieces of that connection, inside him, hidden beneath layers of pain and silence. Mia replied right away, "Yes, I think he's ready." The day of the meeting arrived quickly. Mia had chosen a quiet spot in the park, away from crowds and noise. She wanted it to be peaceful, for both Rex and Elena. Elena arrived a few minutes early, wearing a light jacket and carrying a small photo frame wrapped in cloth. Her eyes searched the park until they landed on Mia and Rex sitting together under a tree. She walked over slowly, visibly nervous. Mia stood up and gave her a warm hug. "Thank you for coming." Elena nodded, eyes glistening. Then she looked at Rex. For a moment, neither of them moved. Rex sat quietly, watching Elena with deep, thoughtful eyes. He didn't bark or jump. He simply stared, almost like he recognized her. Elena knelt down slowly, placing the photo frame gently on the grass. It was a picture of Javier and Rex taken during one of their training sessions. They looked happy, proud, and completely connected. "This is my brother," Elena said softly, voice trembling. "You were his best friend." Rex lowered his head, slightly, sniffing the edge of the photo frame. Then very gently he reached forward and nudged it with his nose. Tears spilled down Elena's cheeks. Mia watched silently, heart full of emotion. This wasn't just a reunion. It was closure. Over the next hour, Elena talked to Rex like he could understand every word. She told him how much Javier loved him, how proud he was of everything they had done together, and how much he had meant to their family. At one point, she reached out and touched Rex's head. He didn't pull away. Instead, he leaned into her hand, closing his eyes. It was the first time Elena had touched him since he disappeared. "I missed you," she whispered. "So much." Mia wiped a tear from her cheek. She couldn't imagine what this moment must have meant to Elena, or to Rex. After some time, Elena turned to Mia with a grateful smile. "You've done something incredible," she said. "You gave him a second chance." Mia shook her head. "No," she corrected gently. "He gave me one." Elena laughed softly through her tears. They spent the rest of the afternoon sitting, together, watching Rex explore the park and play with a ball Mia had brought along. Every now and then he would glance back at them like he wanted to make sure they were still there. "He looks different," Elena observed. "Happier." Mia nodded. "He's healing." "And you helped him do that." Mia looked at Rex, who was now lying beside them, panting happily in the sun. She thought about all the days she had spent searching for him, feeding him, talking to him, and learning to understand him. "Yes," she said softly, "but he helped me too." A few weeks later, Elena sent Mia a special package. Inside was a folded flag and a worn K9 badge, both belonging to Officer Javier Morales. "This belongs to you now," the note read.
"Javier would want Rex to stay with someone who truly loves him. Thank you for giving him a home."
Mia held the badge in her hands, overwhelmed with emotion. That night, as she sat on the porch with Rex resting beside her, she placed the badge
Gently on the ground in front of him. He looked at it for a long time. Then, without hesitation, he curled up around it like it was something sacred. Mia smiled through her tears. This was no longer just about finding a lost dog. It was about honoring a hero, about healing old wounds, and about building a new life, one built on trust, love, and the kind of loyalty that lasts forever. Mia had never imagined that feeding a hungry dog on the street would change her life so completely. But here she was, sitting beside Rex on a warm spring afternoon, watching him nap peacefully in the sun like he had no worries at all. He looked different now, stronger, happier. His coat was shiny from regular grooming, his eyes were bright, and his body had filled out with proper food and care. He still carried the scars of his past, but they no longer seemed to weigh him down as much. Rex had finally found peace, and somehow, in helping him heal, Mia had found some peace of her own. She had always felt like something was missing in her life, like there was more she was meant to do. She loved her job at the vet clinic, and she enjoyed helping animals in any way she could. But this was different. This was purpose. This was love. One morning, Mia woke up to a soft nudge at her hand. Rex was already awake, sitting by her bed, watching her with those deep, knowing eyes. "Good morning," she mumbled, rubbing his head. He gave a small bark and wagged his tail. That day, Mia decided it was time for a new chapter. For both of them. She reached out to a local veterans center and asked if they would be interested in having a therapy dog visit once a week. She explained who Rex was, what he had been through, and how calm and gentle he had become. To her surprise, they said yes. A few days later, Mia and Rex walked into the center together. The room was quiet, filled with older men and women who had served their country and now spent their days remembering the battles they had fought. At first, everyone just watched Rex curiously. Then, one man slowly reached out his hand. Rex walked over without hesitation and rested his head on the man's knee. The room grew still. "You've seen things too, haven't you?" the man whispered, gently stroking Rex's fur. "You understand." Others began to come forward. Some smiled, some cried. All of them touched him, talked to him, and thanked him, as if he were not just a dog but a hero among heroes. Mia stood back, watching the magic unfold. Rex didn't bark or jump. He simply let them hold him, touch him, and remember. He gave them comfort. He gave them strength. He gave them something to believe in again. As weeks turned into months, Rex became a regular visitor at the Veterans Center. He also started going to schools where Mia helped teach kids about the importance of service dogs and how brave animals like him played a big role in protecting people. Everywhere they went, Rex was treated like a king. And yet, he never acted proud or spoiled. He remained humble, gentle, and always aware of the people around him. He was exactly what Mia needed. and what so many others needed too. One evening, as the sky turned orange and the city lights began to glow, Mia sat outside, with Rex curled up beside her. A warm breeze danced through the trees, carrying the sound of distant laughter and music from the neighborhood park. She looked down at him and smiled. "You're home now," she whispered. Rex lifted his head slightly, then laid it back down, on her lap like he understood every word. Mia thought back to the day they met, the tired, scared dog who had barely trusted anyone. Now look at him. Look at them. They had both found healing in each other. They had both found hope. Later that night, Mia received a message from Elena. "I just wanted to say thank you again, for everything. Seeing Rex again brought me so much peace. I know my brother would have loved seeing him happy." Mia read the message twice before replying. "He's not just happy," she typed. "He's loved." Over time, Mia and Rex's story spread beyond their little town. Local news stations covered their journey. Animal rescue groups shared their photos online. People from across the country sent messages saying how inspired they were by Rex's courage and Mia's kindness. But none of that mattered more than the quiet moments they shared together, the mornings when Rex greeted her at the door, the afternoons when they took long walks through the park, the nights when they sat outside under the stars, simply enjoying each other's company. It wasn't fame. It wasn't fortune, it was something better. It was family. Years passed and Rex grew older. His steps slowed. His muzzle turned gray. But even in his golden years, he remained loyal, loving, and full of heart. When the time came for him to leave this world, he did so peacefully, surrounded by the people who loved him most. Mia held him, close, whispering the same words she had told him from the very beginning. "You're not alone." And he wasn't. Not then. Not ever. Even after he was gone, Mia continued his legacy. She volunteered with canine rescue programs, helped train new therapy dogs, and spoke at schools and events about the power of love, patience, and second chances. And whenever someone asked her why she cared so deeply about animals like Rex, she always gave the same answer. Because sometimes, she would say, they don't need saving. They need someone who sees them, someone who believes in them, someone who stays. And that was exactly what she did. She stayed. She loved. She made a difference, and in doing so, she changed lives, including her own.